He's tethered to this place.
But not the actual place, right? The Ashamti can leave the pyramid and still serve its prisonary function, as we saw last episode and right here on the previously awnings.
His point is that it can only be broken inside the pyramid, meaning that the trapped gods can only be released within said pyramid.
Opening an episode on falling water. Now I just have to pee, Moon Knight. Is an out of nowhere need to urinate really how you want to start your episode? Is it?
Did anyone actually find this joke funny? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Your mind is violently vacillating between sense and nonsense.
An accurate description of me trying to make sense of this plot.
Just because you're an idiot doesn't mean the show deserves a sin.
Speaking of violent vacillation, this scene cuts to a wide shot and a close-up shot back and forth 10 times. Stop it.
This is called keeping the audience interested. If they remained in the exact same angle for the entire scene, it would be visually boring. You would think a channel that criticizes TV shows for a living would understand that.
You're not really a doctor.
And you're really not Mark or Steven, are you? Huh? Strange third man with a broken nose. Okay, yes, maybe I saw a few spoilers before watching this episode, and I may be playing up that the visualization could or could not be Mark's other super dangerous personality.
And why is any of this a sin? Oh, you're not going to explain? Well, alrighty then.
I feel real. I feel like a real doctor.
I don't see a bowl of suckers on your desk that Mark can choose from after he proves to be a good patient, so how real of a doctor could you really be, Harrow?
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
What I find extremely interesting is this new, the new animal character.
What I find extremely interesting is how Harrow has a functioning backside with that terrible posture.
Dude, nobody cares. This is what I mean when I say that the Sins writers have gone way downhill. They say shit like that all the time, and it's not funny or interesting in any way.
You think you could tell me about that little boy?
Gird your emotional loins, folks. Moon Knight is about to hard shift out of Egyptian deity shenanigans and plow right into the depths of a tragic backstory involving way more than I thought I was going to get into. And yeah, I know I said the thing earlier about it being interesting, how the show handled the subject of abuse, but like Mark, I'm a complicated being.
No, you're actually very simple because you're an idiot.
So are you two like twins?
Why is the goddess of whatever confused by this? Wouldn't she be able to sense if this were two people?
The episode is clearly showing us right now that she can't, so the answer to your question is obviously no.
It's been a minute since we've had a soul pass through here.
Oh, so now they're a soul and clearly not twins. But also, why has it been long enough that she's forgotten her whatever scroll? I know I read about her, but none of that really helped much for this moment.
First, just because she said a soul doesn't mean she knows they're not twins. That's just the way she was referring to the lack of soul passage. It wasn't specific to Mark and Steven. And second, she forgot her scroll because of what she just said, that they haven't had a soul pass through in a long time. Pay attention.
Welcome, gentle travelers.
I'm not being welcomed by a walking and talking hippopotamus in this scene.
The real sin is that you're not shutting up in this scene.
What is this?
Unseen footage from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't the sin of the episode cliche.
I'm not crazy. I'm dead.
Being this thankful that you're dead.
Pointing things out on the screen.
It was little old me worrying I'd blow your chest wide open.
Why was she worried about this? I don't know how the Egyptian underworld rotation shifts work, but I'm willing to bet all my sins that Tawerit has had to do this before.
But like she just said, she hasn't done this in a really long time, meaning that she's forgotten the specifics of a lot of the steps.
A couple of questions. First, if they're treating Mark and Steven as if they're two separate entities, then why doesn't each heart get to be weighed by itself? When Harrow was f***ing around with his staff in earlier episodes, that was just one person at a time. And second, if Steven is just part of Mark and not an actual person, then how does he have an actual heart? I get that we're not supposed to know Steven is a personality Mark created when he was younger, but the f***ing Egyptian underworld should know this. They're gods. Why would a god need a scale of justice? Oh, sorry, Star Trek 5 there for a second. At least I didn't fully Star Trek 5. You never want to fully Star Trek 5.
Alright, they're treating Mark and Steven as two separate people because Mark is only his complete self when you factor in his other personalities, which include not only Steven but also Jake Lockley. Also, Steven has a heart because all of this is going on in his head. As the episode explains later, it all comes down to his perspective. Also, you mentioned how the Egyptian gods should be aware of Mark's situation, when in reality we've been shown time and again throughout the series that the gods are not omniscient. And finally, Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't the sin of the episode cliche.
No unbalanced souls on my boat. Them's the rules.
Are you sure about that, Tawerit? Because as confused as you've been this whole time, I have about as much faith in your knowledge of the Egyptian underworld as I do of TVSins' knowledge of mature discourse and restraint.
Guys, are they admitting that they suck? Wow.
I do not have a card for this. It's the hearts.
Hippo's like, I don't know what's happening to. Let's go with your hearts need help in 0 seconds flat.
Yes, because those things work together. She knows the issue is with the hearts because typically a heart will either balance with the feather or be heavier than the feather, but Mark and Steven's hearts keep moving. Therefore, she knows that there is an issue with the hearts, but she doesn't know exactly what it is.
Also, I'm pretty sure you do have a card for this to wear it. You said if the hearts don't balance with the feather, then Mark and Steven are thrown overboard. They're not balancing, so that should be it. But Mark and Steven will get a chance to make them balance because... reasons?
Again, you're misunderstanding this. Typically, a heart will either be heavier or the same as the feather, but Mark and Steven's hearts are neither, meaning that she has no idea what to do because it's never happened before.
Like they each feel incomplete.
The hearts are incomplete because the multiple personalities aren't united, but the show never addresses how any of the sudden balancing works when there's an entire third personality no one's even talking about.
The implication is that Mark and Steven have to share things with each other that they already know, but the other personality doesn't yet know. Seeing as neither of them know about Jake Lockley, they don't need to discover him for the hearts to balance.
That's wild.
That's a previously on during the show, and you cannot fool me.
Discount Jeremy hates previously on segments cliche.
Just a creepy calf filled with dead bodies.
Shortening the word cafe to calf.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Also, for all of you that think The Walking Dead's biggest issue is that it's boring, Moon Knight gives you an alternative with The Sitting Dead, and honestly, feels about the same.
Yet another pop culture reference.
It's all your fault!
I would hope that all the adults in this room realized that the mother needed some help to process the grief of her dead son, but nope.
But how do you know that doesn't happen? We're never really shown what the others do to help, we're only shown that the mother never improves. So it's just as likely that she received help, but that it never actually did anything for her.
Before, they were having to walk down the hallway and open doors to get to each memory, but now Mark can just tackle Steven into another memory, and blah, 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 these are memories, none of this is real, etc. But the episode sets up some pretty clear guidelines on how Mark and Steven can navigate this terrain, and then just throws it out the window when it needs to.
Yes, because like you said, none of this is real, it's all in Mark's head, so the supposed guidelines don't actually matter.
I am the god Khonshu.
I know Mark is dealing with a lot of stuff at this moment, but I still want to point out that he accepts this is an actual Egyptian god talking to him way too quickly.
Mark is extremely close to death in this scene, meaning that he's obviously not thinking clearly and he's confused and scared. Add that to the fact that he's already mentally unstable, and this actually kind of makes sense.
You are a worthy candidate to serve me during this time.
Khonshu is really starting to feel like a discount Jigsaw the more we learn about his origins with Mark.
And that's another pop culture reference.
Do you swear to protect the travelers of the night?
Khonshu says travelers and not shadows, but I'm still going to issue a scene does not contain Alison Pill singing Pat Benatar sin. Because honestly, now that Star Trek Picard has put that in our lives, really should be in every TV show for all the rest of time.
A whole bunch of bullshit.
Also, what does that mean exactly? Are people only eligible for protection while traveling and only at night? Why is there never any time to talk about the fine print?
Okay, Khonshu is the god of the moon, and the moon is most prominent at night. So, do you see the connection yet?
Get those scales balanced!
There's a lot of interesting subject matter being addressed in this episode, and there are a lot of fun Egyptian underworld shenanigans as well. However, this scales balancing MacGuffin that takes up too much of the running time never makes a lot of sense and only leads to a death that is not really a death, which was already a death that wasn't really a death.
This whole sin is one long complaint based around the fact that he's too stupid to understand what's happening, and that's his fault, not the show's.
Bloody hell. Look at the state of this place.
This show can try to rationalize Steven's terrible accent all it wants, but it's still a terrible accent that we have to listen to for 5 episodes and counting, so you're still getting a sin, Moon Knight.
So he realizes his mistake, and what does he do? He just goes right ahead and gives another sin to save face. That's what we call a bitch, ladies and gentlemen.
All this time I thought I was the original.
Wait, did people really think there was a chance Steven was the original? Was this supposed to be some sort of twist?
No, because like he just said, he thought he was the original, not the audience.
You've gotten to live thinking that she loved you, that she was kind, that she's still alive.
Trying to wrap my head around the logistics for all of this to unfold is making me feel like I've lost my mind. So Steven is a personality that Mark created to escape his horrible abusive life. And at some point after Mark became Moon Knight, the Steven personality was able to take control for the majority of the time. Fine. But he was able to get a job in an apartment as Steven? How did he even have the correct paperwork and identification for Steven Grant to get all these things accomplished? Steven Grant doesn't exist and doesn't have a social security number. How would any of this work?
Did you hear the way he pronounced Social Security? Social Security? Also, it's not called a Social Security number in England. It's called the National Insurance Number. Took me all of 5 seconds to Google that, bud. Also, Mark was presumably able to get something along the lines of an indefinite leave to remain under the name Stephen Grant, which is how people not from the UK can live permanently there.
She's alive. I speak to her every day.
So it's not just that Mark made Steven, but Steven is also mentally designed to never experience confusion about why someone doesn't talk back to them on the phone. Got it. I'll just file this with things that the mind can do that are scary as which is right beside things the show won't explore more in order to avoid having to explain itself.
But you just admitted that the mind can do some seriously scary shit, which is the explanation that the show implies. All of this is a part of Mark's mental instability, and it's actually very believable.
No haircut. No silly tash there. It's very Ned Flanders.
We get it, Disney. You own The Simpsons now. We're all so proud.
Did he think this joke was funny? 'Cause if so, that's a problem.
It didn't know you smashed it on the ground a moment ago. You don't have to say you're sorry to the hat.
I'll refer you to the previous sin.
The scales are balanced.
So only one of at least 3 personalities had to die for the scales to balance. That checks out, I guess.
As I already explained, Mark is not yet aware that Jake Lockley exists, meaning that Jake is not a part of his conscious mind and, by extension, the underworld.